Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have two different eyes on. You guys see the title. I am doing a Boxycharm spoiler palette review, battle, demo. We're going to go over all the details. I do have 4 palettes here. 2 that are going in the Boxycharm base box, 1 that'll be in Premium, and 1 that'll be in Luxe. And if you're in Premium, you have a choice between 2 of them, and we're going to be putting them to the test today, seeing which one performs better and which one is a better choice for you. So if you want to see all 4 palettes that will be coming in the December Boxycharm, Boxycharm Premium, and BoxyLuxe, make sure to keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe because I do upload 3 times a week, and that is the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So if you want to stick around and see which palette did what, which one I prefer, which formula is better, as a whole, which one I just think is better, keep on watching. So before I jump into actually testing and seeing which palette is going to reign supreme, I do just want to run through the spoiler palettes with you so you know exactly what we're doing before they're even on the eyes. First, the December Boxycharm base box spoiler will be one of these 2 palettes right here. These are both from Storybook Cosmetics. This is the Little Red Riding Hood Fairy Tale palette. It is a very pretty but warm tone palette. You got that nice pretty red, some beautiful neutrals, nice and easy. You can either get this palette or this is the Robin Hood Storybook palette, which is a little more my vibe, not gonna lie. It is green and gold with these really pretty cool tone neutrals in the middle, so you can kind of get the best of both worlds. There is no choice here. One of these 2 is going to be in every Boxycharm base box. No variation choices. You're going to get one or the other. And honestly, they're both really pretty. Just kind of depends on which color story is a little bit better for you. Once again, if you get one and you want the other, I'm going to have a link down below for the Boxycharm Beauties Facebook group. Basically, it's an online group where you can trade out your palettes. If you got this one and you want this one, you can always sell or trade or find somebody looking to swap with you. So that's going to be linked down below. Then we're going to talk BoxyLuxe. So every BoxyLuxe charmer is going to get the big Storybook Cosmetics Little Briar Rose palette, which is one of the 2 we will be testing and playing today. It is a little bit more of like a muted pastel color story. For once in my life, what you see on camera is pretty accurate to color about what this is going to be down below. And the reason we're doing this battle today is for Boxycharm Premium. If you're a BoxyLuxe subscriber, you are going to get the Hidden Treasures palette from Dose of Colors, which looks like this. Definitely freaking me out a little bit because honestly my OCD is killing me, but very pretty, very warm tone. You got some nice neutrals. I think you can get a lot of great things out of here. Now, if you are not a BoxyLuxe subscriber and you are just getting Premium, you will have a choice between one of these 2. So if you are an active subscriber, you will get one or the other Luxe Premium. If you are just Premium, you'll get one of the 2. There will be a choice. You can actually go and pick what you want. So say you're getting this in your Luxe box and you want a second one of these because you don't want this one. You can go in and elect to get a second one of these. Your choice will override the default to give you 2 of the others. So that being said, today we're going to be seeing which one is worth your choice, which of these 2 palettes will reign supreme. I'm going to be doing a look with the Storybook Cosmetics on this side, and I'm going to be doing a look with the Hidden Treasure palette on this side, but you guys already know that because you saw the intro. So let's jump into the palette demo challenge and see what we like more. Now, I have used the Dose of Colors formula before, so I already know that I really do like the mattes, but I've never tried the metallics, so this is going to be something new. I'm going to start with the Dose of Colors palette. I will leave a timestamp down below when we get into the second palette for those of you who want to see both. But I'm going to start with the shade Map right here, which is a cool toned, almost gray brown. And I'm going to dust that right in the crease. I gently tap in once. I'm going to zoom you guys in. I'm going to preface this because I cannot tell you how many times I get a comment where I'll go in like this and I'll literally tap lightly once and start dusting and someone will be like, oh my god, there's no pigment, it sucks. You don't know how much pressure I use on my brush, so if you get this palette or any palettes for that matter and I'm reviewing it and I'm playing with it, give it a chance, because I like to build my color up. I always go in with a light hand. I never go super overwhelming. If you want to like swirl your brush in that color and then attack your eyeballs with pigment, more power to you. Not my vibe. Beautiful. So we are zoomed in, and you'll see like I tapped in a few times and I just gently buffed this shade. I am not going to be double dipping brushes, so I'm going to use different brushes on each eye, but they're all brushes I like, so don't think that's going to mess with the performance. If you are interested, I'm going to link a video up here of like my go-to techniques for hooded eyes, just because I'm going to be going through how the palette is performing. I'm not really going to be focusing on technique. If you want more in-depth, you can look in that video right there. Jumping into a smaller brush, a stained brush, but a smaller brush. No pigment on here. It is a clean brush. It's just long since stained. I'm going to go into the shade Key right here, which is going to be our definition shade. And I'm going to press that on the outer portion of the eye. This is actually performing a little bit softer than the other Dose of Colors palettes. I don't remember if it was 1 month or 2 months ago, but we did get the Dose of Colors matte palettes. I did several tutorials with them, and the formula was quite beautiful. This is blending out just as easily. However, I will say I feel like those ones are a touch more pigmented. I feel like that palette, you can kind of go in with much less product. With this, I've had to like tap in 2 or 3 times. It also might just be the way the palette is pressed, that these are more of like a flat pressed pan, whereas that shadow, it was an imprint. But the mattes are performing really beautifully. They're nice and easy. What color are we going to do on the lid? I think I'm going to go a little cliche, not going to lie. I'm going to take a little bit of Onyx, the black shade, and just on the very tip of my brush, I'm just going to lightly deepen up just the outermost portion of the eye, just because I do want this to be a little smoky. You can tell a lot about the quality of a palette by how well the black performs. And these are blending beautifully. I have not had to go back into a lighter shade. I'm going to take Matte again, the transition shade, and just make sure everything is blended nicely. But honestly, it already kind of was. I didn't really have to go in and do this, which is a sign of a good matte formula. For the lid, I'm trying to look at the other palette because I don't want these to look the same. I'm kind of playing around with different colors, formulas. All right. I'm going to go in with Coin, the gold shade, and I'm actually going to take that right on my finger. Definitely a lot of payoff. And I'm just going to press that on the lid. So right off the bat, definitely a very pretty metallic finish. I am getting color payoff, which is nice. Just going to blend the edges. What I will say is it's not as vibrant as I expected it to be, so I am going to grab a packing brush. I'm going to pick up quite a bit of that shade on my brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of MAC Fix Plus, and I am going to press that over the lid just to see if I can get that shade more intense. And I absolutely can. Now this shade definitely goes on much more vibrantly with a brush, so that's good to note. I am going to throw some eeny, meeny, miny, dark brown liner in the waterline. Then I'm going to take a flat brush with that key shade, that brown, and I'm just going to lightly set down the liner. I don't know if I'm even in frame for that. Going into a pencil brush with that lighter shade Map, I'm just going to blend under that shade. And then because I do want this to be a little smoky, I'm going to go into Locket right here, which is more of like a camel brown. It's somewhere in between those other 2 shades. And I'm just going to blend that from the top of the lid all the way around the lower lash. I'm going to take Pearl right here, and I'm going to hit up the brow bone and the inner corner. Definitely nice and pearly. Don't you hate when a shade like Pearl has no pearl to it, and it's just like a little more on the meh, boring side? I love that I don't have that issue with this one. All right, so I'm going to curl my lashes, throw on some mascara, and then we'll be right back to talk about the second palette. All right, so normally with a look like this, I would throw on falsies, but that kind of defeats the purpose of doing a palette review if you can't even see the eyeshadow look I did. So this is the look right here. Shadows blended out beautifully. Everything looked quite nice. So let's see how the other palette holds up. So I'm going to be doing something a little more mauve-y out of here just because that's what this color story kind of speaks to. So I did, off camera, grab my color switch, and I basically took all of my brushes, and once you swirl them in here, it pulls off all of the pigment so that the brushes are clean and ready to use. So I'm going to be using the exact same brushes, this time just cleaned off, so that you can really see if it's the brush. So just like before, I'm going to start with this brush, and I'm going to take the shade, I'm going to take Spindle up here, which is a Dusty Rose shade, and I'm going to tap into that a couple times. Not much kick up in the pan on either palette, and I'm just going to dust that right in the crease. So on the eye, this shade is starting to translate a little bit more coral as opposed to mauve, which a lot of people tend to prefer warm tones. I tend to like more cool tones. So if you prefer more warm tones, you might prefer the Dose palette because, well, no, this one's going pretty warm too. So you might be happy with either. I am going to just switch to the shade Thorn because that one is definitely a little mauvier. And I'm going to take that into the socket just to tone the... Yeah, there we go. See how that's going a little more cool toned, a little more of like a gray pink? Much more what I was going for. So these colors are blending out nicely and they are building up. I will say in the pan they look a little more like pastel, dusty, very like Eastery colors. But on the eye, the pigment is there. Normally when a shade has this kind of like a mauve-y pastel tone, I don't expect a lot of pigment. I think it's a cop-out, and it's as if they're trying to, let's just make it pastel so we don't have to throw a lot of pigment in there. This is true to color and quite pigmented. Like as you can see, I'm using, minus that little bit of the first shade, I'm using one color, and I'm getting depth and definition and blend. So all in all, it is working quite nicely. Next, I'm going to take Grim, which is a really pretty, like, burgundy color. And I'm going to take tiny... Actually, that looks like a lot, but I barely tapped into that shade. All right, we're getting payoff. So right off the bat, I will say, I feel like the Storybook palette is almost a little bit more pigmented than the Dose palette. This is reminding me more... Earlier I did say I feel like there was more pigment in the Dose Quads or the 5 shadow palette than in this one. This palette is reminding me more of the other formula from Dose. Like, see how easy this is blending? I'm going to go back into that Thorn shade just to blend it out. The one thing I will say as a testament to the Dose palette so far is there's like 4 different neutral shades that you can kind of use to make a gradient out of. With this one, I am having to kind of bounce between shades because there aren't any others in between. But that being said, you do get many more pops of color. You get a silver, you get this really pretty, it's a orangey base with a yellow glitter. You get a lighter blue and more of a turquoise, or a cobalt rather. So you definitely get more variety out of this palette. But it's still very pretty. Because I went in with gold on the other eye, I'm going to take the shade Fairies, which is almost a silver. And I'm going to... Oh, that's quite pretty. A little less like... It's shiny. It's not so much metallic. Typically, I've noticed that, you know, see how this one it does have shine, but it looks more metal. It gets more of that reflect. This one almost looks like just, again, shiny, not metallic. So let's pull that. And I'm going to instantly shut up because on the eye it's beautiful. Just like before, I am also going to try this shade on a brush, Wet with Fix Plus. That is both metallic and blinding. So with this formula, I would just not use your finger. You see how opaque it is? It's almost covering up everything I did for that smoky eye before. So with this one, it might actually even be prudent to start with your lid shade and then build around it, because I'm going to have to go back in and basically add that blending back in, because you lost quite a bit of what I did. See how on this one I didn't have to intensify that black much more? Oh yeah, that's really pretty. I'm going to clean this brush off. I'm going to take a tiny bit more black on this eye just to kind of even out a little bit. Even though the looks are different and the palettes are different, I do want to make sure that the same shape of the eyeshadow is there, even though the colors are very different. Just going to blend out any edges. This shadow was so pigmented, we almost got like a faux cut crease going on. All right, and this is the fun part, because I do want to go in a little bit differently. I'm still using an Urban Decay liner, just a different color. I almost put it in the wrong eye. And I'm going to throw a blue liner in the waterline. This is a navy blue. The shade is Goddess. And I just think it just works on so many levels with so many different colors. I'm going to take the shade Prince, which is the cobalt right here, and I'm going to load that up on a pencil brush, and I'm going to buff it. This is going to be weird, but I'm going to pull my mirror close. I'm going to buff it right into the under eye on top of that liner. Much better. And then as I get to the outside of the eye, I'm actually going to lightly smoke it out. Just a little bit. Beautiful. It looks a little weird. Don't worry. We're going to add some burgundy and blend it up. Don't worry. On that same pencil brush, I'm going to take a little bit more of that shade Grim. And I'm just going to blend the corner into that color. And then going into that first brush, I'm just going to blend where the top of the eye meets the waterline. So my camera just like auto adjusted the light, which I think is a little weird, but whatever. I look really pale until I zoom you out. I am going to take that first brush and just gently blend everything out and poke myself in the eye while doing it, because I do want to just make sure that everything is smoky. All right. I like that. I'm almost getting a little bit of like a kitten wing effect here, but it is looking rather pretty. I am going to clean off that pencil brush. And I am going to lightly, I say lightly, but it's going to be intense, I know it. I'm going to take that brown from the Dose palette. And again, I'm just going to smoke this lash line out a little bit more, just so that it's a little bit more even to what I did on this eye. And I know this is looking a little intense, but you can definitely, if you look at this, get a neutral look out of this palette. You do have the copper and the rose gold, and it definitely can go that more almost wearable, but I wanted to play with color. I'm going to take a little bit of Woodland, which is this matte right here, and I'm just going to blend that above the crease, just to make sure that there's no harsh lines and everything looks pretty. I really like that, actually. All right, I'm going to throw on mascara on this eye, and I'll be right back. And I will have zoomed you out. All right, so that is the finished look out of the Storybook palette. So in all honesty, these are exactly the same look, just out of two different color stories. They're both that same smoky effect, and I I think I have my opinions. So, first, packaging. I think that this I'm actually split down the middle for because I think the dose of colors being so thin and sleek is going to be really helpful for people who like to travel. However, I think aesthetically, this one is so much prettier, like this cute little storybook. It's got the little page detail. I feel like it's just a really cute moment to have on the shelf behind you. So I'm kind of split down the middle. Plus, this has a nicer mirror and a more standard uniform palette layout. I'm telling you right now, my OCD hates this. Like, after this video and my next Boxycharm unboxing, this is probably either getting sanitized and donated or given to my sister because these colors are already killing me because, like, just straighten the palettes. I don't like that. Then, formula-wise, I think they both performed really beautifully, but if I had to pick one formula over the other, I think I'm actually going to give it to the Storybook palette, which actually makes me really excited to jump into these two, because I've never used Storybook before, and these colors, like, I just keep looking at the shine on this silver in the monitor, and I'm obsessed. You'll probably see more out of this palette from me just because the greens are calling my name. My friend Heather was already like, any of those palettes you don't want, send them my way. So I'm probably going to send her the red one. That being said, last thing comes down to just color story. So ignoring the formula, ignoring the packaging, because you can make anything work with the right tools and blending hard enough. When I look at these two color stories, I feel like I have a million palettes that are neutral with warm tones and that pop of red. I feel like having this pop of blue and the fact that it's more of a pastel tone just makes everything so much richer and, for me, so much more unique. So as far as, like, color story, I am so much more inspired to play with this one. So all in all, I mean, I'm trying to think because, like, I have both of these. If I had to pick, I had to give one away and I have to keep one, I would keep the Storybook palette. So I feel like if you're on the Boxy Premium and you have Boxy Choice, which is opening up for you to pick which of these palettes you want, I think my money's going with the Storybook. I think just as a whole, aesthetically, color-wise, pigmentation, blending, I think this is just going to be the winner for me. If you do get BoxyLuxe and you get Boxy Premium, I definitely think you can really make a lot of different things with the two different palettes. So they are not even remotely similar. So I don't think there's going to be any overlap that you have to look at it and be like, well, I get so many of the same shades in one versus the other. I think they're different enough that I don't think you have to run into that. But like I said, I think I'm going with the Storybook. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and let me know down below, who do you think won? Like, I definitely, like, I feel like I would have so much more fun wearing a look like this. I'm actually really proud of myself because I pointed to the right eye. Everything's mirrored in the monitor. I think I'd have more fun with this eye than I would this one. This is a little more neutral, a little more everyday. Do I think you need to have a silvery cut crease moment with burgundy and cobalt? No, but this is a little bit more something I enjoy. So yeah, thanks again. Let me know which palette you would pick, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.